And we're live! Hello, hello, hello! And welcome to a bit of a different stream. Well, no, maybe a little too quiet. But yeah, I'm doing something rather different this time, which is I'm just going to be reading. Going to be diving into the SCP wiki and hitting the random SCP button. This is one of those streams where I'm just letting my ADHD lead the way. I have been kind of getting back into watching videos, particularly by Mr. Illustrated and Evolvin. And it's kind of one of my hyperfixations at the minute, and that's kind of almost what these Wednesday streams are for. Is for me talking about, whatever's got my interest at any given moment. But I've got the first one lined up. All the pages we'll be looking at come from the SCP wiki, so scp-wiki.wikidot.com, if you want to go and check them out yourself. None of this is anything I've done. I'm just going to be reading. Let's fade over. Here's our first article. SCP-1343. That music's maybe too loud. Maybe it's too loud for me anyway. Might make it a bit louder on your guys' side. Or maybe I should keep it quiet. I don't know. Ooh. SCP-1343. Object class safe. Does it have a name? Or do you only get to see the name if it's on the other screen? Okay. Starting off safe, always nice. Special containment procedures. SCP-1343 is to be contained on location at the abandoned construction site in the northernmost tube of something tunnel complex. Until removal plans for SCP-1343 are finalized, public use of the adjacent southern tunnel tubes will continue. On-site staff are to monitor all tunnel tubes periodically and to report unusual observations. In the event of an SCP-1343-1 sighting, on-site staff will direct local authorities to redirect traffic before notifying Overwatch HQ. Okay. So it's contained in a tunnel complex. Okay. Interesting that a safe SCP isn't contained in a facility. Unless it's a tunnel complex itself and can't be moved, I guess. SCP-1343 is a sealed concrete 10 by 10 by 12 meter container that municipal construction workers discovered buried in a hillside in blank County, California in 19 somewhere. The container's contents are not currently known to the Foundation, never mind. Initial attempts to drill through SCP-1343 resulted in a series of severe traffic collisions in the active tunnel tube adjacent to the construction site. Construction of the northernmost tube stopped in 1970 blank, when the project was formally halted due to budget shortfalls. The Foundation took over the site in 1982 after local authorities recorded the first images of SCP-1343-1. Okay, so it's a concrete box that they don't know what's inside it, and attempting to drill into it results in traffic accidents. Is this like directly because of the drilling just causing fakes or something? SCP-1343-1 appears to be a severely damaged 1955 Ford Thunderbird. The vehicle has been sighted periodically in the active highway tunnels adjacent to SCP-1343. It appears each year on April 7th at approximately 02:45 hours, and has appeared on other occasions after SCP-1343 has been disturbed. In a typical sighting, SCP-1343-1 appears when a witness rounds a turn approximately some hundred meters into the tunnel, at which point drivers have described the entity accelerating towards them while engulfed in flames. Believing a head-on collision to be imminent, most witnesses react by swerving into the tunnel's walls or into the oncoming traffic. Oh dear. The Foundation estimates that SCP-1343-1 has resulted in approximately some dozen civilian traffic accidents, with 93% involving driver and/or passenger fatalities. It's a ghost car that scares people into traffic accidents. Believe in a head-on. It doesn't say anything that it actually isn't a physical object, though. It doesn't say it's just the image of a Excerpt from Something Times. Police reports April 7, 1970... Wait, 1970? No, 1950 something. Saturday, 2:53 AM. An accident involving a gasoline truck into North Tube set off a fire into Something Tunnel Complex. The accident caused major damage and all tubes were closed to traffic while repairs were made. During the fire, the tunnels acted as a natural chimney venting the smoke, flames and heat toward the east side entrance to the tunnel. The accident and fire killed 7 people. In all, 2 people died in the initial crashes, 5 were killed by the smoke and fire, and 2 were hospitalized for smoke inhalation. Excuse me. All others escaped unharmed. Oh, excuse me, I am yawning again. Several survivors closest to the initial pileup each described an overturned Ford Thunderbird with an 8th driver trapped inside who was last seen struggling to free himself from the burning vehicle. However, no driver or vehicle matching this description has been discovered among the pileup wreckage. Okay. Excerpt from Research Log 1343 something 1991. Memorandum. From Dr. Blank to on-site staff. The sonic imaging of the sealed concrete container designated 1343 has revealed its interior contents. 1 1955 Ford Thunderbird chassis badly damaged, and the human remains of 2 individuals, 1 adult male wedged between steering column on driver's side, and 1 juvenile female crushed beneath engine on passenger side. Excavation around the container has revealed ruins of unknown origin covering all sides. No ruins were found on the exposed side, but testimony from construction crew members indicates the markings on this side of the container had been chipped off during initial attempts to drill through it. Oh. Analysts have been unable to determine how SCP-1343 was buried in the hillside, however anecdotal sources indicate a connection to an ecological activist group known as the Sunshine Collective that fought to halt construction of the northernmost tube. The group formally disbanded in 1970 and no living former members could be located. As long as SCP-1343-1 sightings are monitored and the tunnel is closed on and the tunnel is closed on the 7th of April each year, we do not believe that 1343 poses a significant we do not believe that 1343 poses a significant public safety hazard in its current location. The research staff recommends that removal plans for SCP-1343 should be halted indefinitely until firm evidence is discovered regarding its origin and function. Okay. So it's a ghost car, kind of, I'm guessing, like, reliving the accident each year? But not just an accident, because they say it was a connection to an ecological activist group known as the Sunshine Collective. So were the members in the car part of that collective? I'm not sure. Well, on to the next one. Oh, random SCP? SCP. Of course we get a joke SCP. SCP WTFJ. Do I even bother? Is this one even safe? Because I know sometimes the joke SCPs can get a bit... SCP-WTF-J is to be kept in a standard containment cell at Armed Provisional Containment Area WTF-J Omega 666 and subjected to Procedure 99 Jericho every 30 minutes. Failure to properly execute 99 Jericho will invariably result in a ZK-class reality failure event. This feels like just a silly version of the what's it like, the deer. Well, I see far too many reference to tacos randomly. Yeah, why? Yeah, I want the actual SCP. There we go. An actual SCP. I wish you could exclude the joke ones from the random SCP button. SCP-595. Object Class Euclid. Ooh, we actually have a picture of this one. SCP-595 is currently stored in either enclosed dry dock 20-something, Virginia, or Secure Foundation Warehouse District in Philadelphia, depending on SCP-595's current state. Both sites are restricted without level 3 access clear. Oh, I need to stop yawning. Both sites are restricted without level 3 access clearance or higher. Access to SCP-595's interior is restricted to specially selected Class D personnel or mobile task forces with approval from either site's local administration. Due to the nature of SCP-595's effects, it is imperative that no personnel or sensitive equipment be located within the storage sites after SCP-595 has been dormant for over 2 hours. Normal research activities may resume at one of the 2 sites after SCP-595's documented effects have subsided. Oh, I'm yawning far too much. Description: SCP-595 is a Cannon-class destroyer escort. D-blank something USS something, commissioned by the United States Navy in late 1942. It is no different from any other vessel of its class, with the exception of several munitions magazines filled with something of unknown manufacture. These devices cause the vessel in a limited surrounding area to be permeated with abnormally high levels of electromagnetic radiation. It's nuclear. Periodically, the devices induce a tremendous spike in the amount of electromagnetic radiation, resulting in effects outlined in Document 595-1. While these spikes are mostly regular in their timing, they can result in severe damage to surrounding equipment and personnel if safety precautions. Oh, excuse me. If safety precautions are not strictly adhered to. The ship is tied to reports of a secret US Navy experiment, Project Philadelphia, reportedly investigating principles of teleportation and possibilities of camouflaging naval vessels by bending light around them, rendering them invisible to the naked eye. The failure of the experiment resulted in the loss of nearly the entire crew. As they were unable to contain it, the US Navy agreed to turn SCP-595 over to the Foundation for further study. Unfortunately, information relating to the experiment has been made public. Cover-up efforts are detailed in an addendum below. Wait, so if they kind of have an explanation for this, is this still an SCP? Oh, excuse me. Document 595-1. SCP-595 self-contained something devices are known to cause varying spikes in radiation levels at regular intervals approximately every 3 to 4 hours. When the Foundation acquired SCP-595 from the United States Navy, little was known of the device's side effects as the Navy had already destroyed almost all relevant documentation. As such, testing commenced in earnest, producing the following known result. The foremost effect of SCP-595's tremendous levels of electromagnetic radiation is that the ship can exist in one of 2 locations, varying randomly and requiring 2 teams of researchers to fully monitor SCP-595. The vessel has been observed with lower bursts to appear translucent and in some cases almost completely transparent to the naked eye while remaining in place at its current dry dock. I'm really yawning today. The foremost effect of SCP-595's tremendous levels of electromagnetic radiation... Oh wait, I've just read that little paragraph. Just read. Any personnel located on or within a radius of some dozen meters of the vessel while it is undergoing a radiation burst can be subjected to the following effects. Personnel not located aboard the ship but still within its area of effect display effects similar to that of SCP-595 itself, sometimes reappearing in place, but sometimes showing up at the other secure facility. There have also been occasions where these personnel have disappeared completely and did not reappear in any Foundation-controlled sector. An incident of this nature occurred in 19-something, resulting in the loss of some dozen US Navy personnel, prompting the current containment agreement. Persons in physical contact, either on deck or inside with SCP-595, are subject to the effects listed above, but with markedly increased danger. These properties were discovered when Agent Someone was trapped on the ship, faded out of sight, and upon returning was fused to the bulkhead he had been standing near. Ah, that's fun. Inspection showed a perfect molecular bond of tissue to metal, cleanly severing the entire lower portion of the agent's abdomen which protruded from the opposite side of the bulkhead. When questioned, the agent reported feeling no pain but was unable to move his lower extremities and exhibited signs of extreme nausea and the early stages of acute radiation poisoning. Attempts to recover the surviving portions of the agent's body from the ship ultimately resulted in his death. During the same incident, 3 Class D personnel had been assigned to clean the engine room. Most of D-12074 was found in a crankshaft with his legs fused to the ceiling over a meter away from him. D-23574 was fused to a deck plate and his lower extremities were never located. Nor was D-75224, who simply vanished. Other cases have seen personnel molded into solid steel doors while still conscious, or alternatively missing limbs that are incorporated into the structure in other locations of the vessel. Standard operating procedure calls for termination of these victims, as all efforts to sever them from the ship have resulted in death of the affected. Ooh. As of the late 1950s, numerous books and eyewitness accounts have surfaced in attempts to shed light on the Navy's failed experiment, further complicating containment procedures. Excuse me. Thanks to the efforts of well-placed field agents, the Foundation has managed to mostly discredit these sources, leaving the experiment as a well-known but officially debunked urban legend. All published accounts have been doctored to indicate DE-173, the USS Eldridge, as being the testbed for the experiment, thus drawing the attention away from SCP-595. All previous records of the experiment have been successfully obtained or were destroyed by the United States government. Addendum. Attempts to disable the devices located in SCP-595 have all met with failure, as the shutdown procedures documented in Manual something 3A require more than the allotted safe margins of time. The use of electromagnetically shielded remote vehicles is currently being investigated. Okay, so this feels a little bit different from a lot of SCPs I've read, because it feels like it is explained. Because we know it's... yeah, it's a Navy ship, and the US... Unless it's kind of just, we don't know what these the actual contents of the magazines are... Like, unless they're something supernatural? Or unexplained, but you'd think if it was... Or if, you know, the US Navy were using stuff from what's one of the other groups of interest. Onwards. Oh, going up the numbers now. SCP-6791. Item number The Chosen One. Object Class Adventure? What? I'm not familiar with this classification. Special Containment Procedures. Jack Jones is an average teenage boy. He does not have many friends outside of Dennis, the class clown, and Mary, the shy girl. However, when a mysterious organization transports him to an isolated facility, he will learn just how important he is. What? Description. I always thought I was a little weird. I've never been able to pin down why. Other students at school don't see me as anything special. Only Dennis and Mary stay close to me. They must see something great about me. But when the Foundation came to pick me up from my house, I knew for certain that it was because I'm not like the other boys. They drove me to a large industrial-looking building deep in the forest. The guards gave me a friendly smile as we entered. The halls we walked through were bustling with activity, people in lab coats or heavy armor. I think I saw one person shoot a little fire from their hand when no one else was looking. They caught my eye and winked. Eventually we reached an empty room with a table, where another woman wearing a lab coat was sitting. She smiled. Her glasses so clear it was like there weren't lenses in them. "Welcome," she said, "to the Foundation." There was a pause, and I asked, "Foundation of what?" She laughed and replied, "The Foundation of Humanity." She explained that this organization specialized in finding individuals who weren't quite normal, taking them under their wing and helping them control their weirdness. "Am I one of these weird individuals?" I asked. "Well, that's what we suspect. We'll certainly find out, won't we? Oh, by the way, my name is Holly Berg." We shook hands. A guard led me to my room. We passed by many others, presumably holding other strange people beside them. Once we reached my place, I was surprised to see Dennis and Mary waiting for me. "Hey Jack," quipped Dennis. "We told the guards we were wizards or something. They let us in so we could stay with you." "Yeah," said Mary. "I would have missed you otherwise." She blushed. I hugged my friends. Together, we would make the most of my stay here. This is very different. It's also, looking at my scroll bar, a very long one. Containment Report. Item Subject 6791-53, Containment Success. Equipment malfunctions 0, Containment Breaches 1, Affected Personnel 108. Additional notes, the recorder appears to be working as intended. The effect it has on containment will be continually observed. Okay. Is this one of those SCP... I'm guessing this is one of those SCPs that actually can affect its own document. Chapter 1. I woke up this morning refreshed, ready for whatever this place could teach me. Sometime later in the day, a guard brought us some lunch. Dennis and Mary and I ate together. They seemed groggy, presumably from sleeping in. I don't blame them. Yesterday was exhausting. Dennis joked while we ate. Mary surprised me by holding my hand. She smiled like I should have expected this. I felt something blossom in my chest. We went to bed a while later. What a day. I woke up refreshed again, wondering when they would get back to me. We ate lunch, Mary holding my hand softly. Dennis wasn't as talkative today. I wonder if something is bothering him. Is he jealous of Mary and me? We went to bed. This is just a story. Chapter 3. For the first time, I noticed a humming noise in the wall. If I put my fingers on it, I could feel the smallest vibration. I wonder what kind of technology they had in this place. Mary's fingertips brushed the back of my hand during lunch. I looked towards her, but she wasn't even paying attention to me. Mary? She jolted just a little. Her eyes flicked towards me, and she closed her hand around mine again. It looked like she was trying to smile. Actually, I realized she hadn't stopped smiling until now. Interview log 6791-53-1. Interviewed subject 6791-53, interviewer Professor Holly Berg. Board, the effects of SCP-6791 have become negligible after 67 hours. As per standard procedure, at this stage, Foundation research is determined to perform an introductory interview of subject 6791-53. Begin log. Hello, Jack. Hi. Wait, was Jack the name of... Yeah, Jack Jung. Wait, Jack is number... Jack is -53? You don't seem as confident as you did at our first meeting. Is something wrong? Something. You seem different. No lab-coated glasses. I don't need glasses. Also, the halls. They aren't that busy. Not like that first day. I understand why that would disturb you. Silence for 4 seconds. To the point, I would like to explain how things will continue from here on out. As part of standard procedure, I will be interviewing you every few days or so for the purposes of research and ethics. You can ask me any questions you'd like, although the information I can give to you is limited. With time, I will be permitted to give you more complete answers. Please be patient. Alright. Yeah, I can do that. With that said, do you currently have any questions for me? Yeah, when do we start? Start what? Start up, whatever you brought me here to do. We have been setting up testing procedures. I can't tell you anything else right now. Okay. Do you have any more questions? No. Okay, now I have some questions for you. Would you like something in your containment chamber to keep you occupied? No? Okay, next question. Extraneous material removed, end log. Oh, okay. Afterwards, subject 6791-53 has shown symptoms of prolonged connection to SCP-6791. Although it is unknown how long SCP-6791-53 will remain at the Foundation. Attempts at recovery will be made in future interviews. I want to go home. This was the first thing I... Oh, Chapter 4. This was the first thing I heard from Dennis as I woke up, as well as that humming. It felt irritating. I sat up and turned to Dennis, but he wasn't speaking to me. At first I thought he was trying to speak through the door, but no, he was standing in the corner rubbing his temples like he had a headache. Couldn't believe it. This was it. He was abandoning me, shrinking into a corner like a rat. His jealousy has gone completely out of hand. During lunch we didn't speak. I didn't even look him in the eye. I could tell it was affecting him. I could hear him trying to repress his sobbing. It must have been laughing. He must have had a joke he wanted to share. Chapter 5. I realized shortly after waking up that I'd spent so much time feeling angry at Dennis yesterday that I hadn't paid attention to Mary. I realized then that I truly loved her, and now would be the best chance to confess. I could feel our connection, see us together for the rest of our lives. That's what Dennis couldn't understand. I hopped out of bed and approached Mary. She was still lying on the floor, but when I got close I could see she was awake. Mary, I said, I have something to tell you. Mary took a deep breath and let it out with a whoosh. She stood up, rubbed her lower back, then turned to face me. I could see bags under her eyes. Was she awake all night thinking about me? And then she said, No, Jack, there's something you need to hear. I mean a lot you need to hear, but okay. I remember coming here. I remember talking to you. I remember lying on the floor for most of the time we've been here, but I don't remember ever agreeing to any of it. I have no idea what was going through my head for the past few days, except you. Things you were thinking. Just barely I could catch it, but otherwise it feels like I've been staring at a blank TV screen. This isn't fun, Jack. I want to be outside again. There's nothing for us here. Do whatever the fuck you did 5 days ago and make them let us go. Oh. He was out of breath now. Only now I saw how horrible it must have been for her when I was taken out of the test chamber for that interview. In here without me? Oh. Is he has me. This is main character syndrome, I think. I put my hand on her shoulder and said, Don't worry about me. She hit me on the cheek and I stumbled back into the wall. The punch didn't hurt. The wall did. Things grew hazy and began to tilt. I could hear Mary screaming at me and Dennis completely breaking down the corner. No, it must have been the other way round. That humming. The humming was the last thing to follow me as I fell on. Interview log 6791-53-2. Interviewed subject 6791-53. Interviewer Professor Holly Berg. Forward. As this interview took place, subjects Dennis and Mary were removed from subject 6791's containment chamber, amnesticized and transported back to their families. A cover story surrounding a kidnapping was disseminated to their parents and the media. Ooh. Begin log. Extraneous material removed. How are your friends doing? I don't think they're my friends anymore. Our guards thought they heard fighting yesterday. Can you describe your version of events for us? They betrayed me. That's all there is to it. What else would there be? They just stopped acting like friends should. And what should friends do? They should smile to make you feel better, even when they're not happy. I'll hold your hand to support you, make room for you in their life. Be there for every step, and when you're gone, they miss you. Berg makes a note. Extraneous material removed. Do you have any questions left for me before we wrap up? Yeah, this place is still very inactive. It's just so quiet outside the door to my room. Sometimes people pass by, but like, what was happening that first day? Berg checked something within their notebook. I'm forbidden from sharing information regarding your arrival. Liar. Can you elaborate? This place isn't friendly. No one here is. Least of all you. You guys pretended this was a nice place to lock me away. I never pretended to be your friend. But you... Let me clarify as best I can. We could not have told you a lie you haven't already told yourself. Okay. That's an interesting one. We could not have told you a lie you haven't already told yourself. What does yesterday's meeting mean? Are they going to teach me how to use my powers soon? I have mind control powers. That's what she's suggesting. No, it's not. It won't teach me. I'll have to learn how to use them by myself. I have to, but how will I? There are other things here, right? Chapter 7. Others almost as super weird as me. They have to be. That's what this whole place is for. Containment. That's the word Holly used. I can't do that. I shouldn't be held back. No one should. Everyone else holds back. Mary and Dennis held back their real feelings for me, and Holly has others here locked up. That's not democratic, it's un-American. I need to be the liberator. Liberator from what? It's not just Holly, it's not just this place. There's something bigger. Chapter 8. The simulation. All of it. That's what Holly was trying to say. A lie. A simulation. Created to keep me in check. Break it. There's a glitch somewhere. It's in this building. It's in this room. It's in me. It's all me. It's... something wrong with me. An aside. Protagonists are sometimes expected to be the most interesting characters in the universes they inhabit. Given this, they often grapple prominently with what are considered universal experiences. Love, death, family, etc. It is side characters who are more passionate about average interests. Consider the amount of eccentric scientists, quirky artists, and wise old professors who tag along with the main character. But isn't there a paradox here that is easy to fall into? Aren't universal experiences, freedom, lies, abandonment, etc., what should be considered an average interests, being most likely what the average person would be interested in? If the protagonist only comes to grips with these universal experiences, do they not neglect everything else in life that can offer them, and by extension what they can offer the reader? How many cases are there where side characters become more beloved than the main character? In attempting to make the protagonist more interesting, can this only lead to the protagonist becoming as uninteresting as possible? Is this just commentary on writing more than an SCP? Chapter 10. I lay in bed. The guard brings lunch. Nothing happens. No one comes to get me. Sound in the walls. Some footsteps passing by. Interview log 6791-53-3. Interviewed subject 6791-53. Interviewer Professor Hollyberg. Begin log. Extraneous material removed. Did you know you were a fan of model trains? Why would I be? Berg notes something down. Model trains are boring. Who still has a model train? There's a large model train set we observed in your basement. That must be someone else's. Who else's would it be? I don't know. Jack, we know you don't live alone. It's not even possible. You're 14. Silence for 4 seconds. Jack, do you remember your parents? Silence for 7 seconds. I'm trying to establish what you think you know, Jack. What about Mary and Dennis? What about them? How long do you think you've known them? My whole life. Friends forever, until I did something, I guess. Dennis only joined your school a year ago. There's no evidence that you ever spent time with Mary until recently. No, I remember we... Subject 6791-53 swallows hard. It's quiet for 14 seconds, rests its head on the table, and sobs. What's important about me? Silence for 6 seconds. Tell you what, I'll talk to the rest of the research team. If it goes well, you'll receive a document tomorrow evening that will give you some answers. Subject 6791-53 raises its head and looks at Berg. Afterward, when Berg was asked why she would make such an offer to Subject 6791-53, her only response was, I think it would be beneficial for us to see whether or not SCP-6791 responds to this information. Berg's proposal has yet to be approved or rejected. Chapter 11. Nothing arrived in the evening. At least I think it's been evening. Lunch was a while ago. Model trains? It has to be a lie. It's not the 50s anymore. No one's buying model trains anymore, let alone selling them. Even imagine it makes me cringe. The landscape is a mossy green. The houses are empty. All those little model people. None of them do anything. None of them are important. No one's even driving the train. It moves on its own. All that happens. Chapter 12. When I woke up, I saw a piece of paper lying by the door. It must have arrived late last night. Or maybe I went to bed early. Oh. Is this... Here we go. Item number 6791. Containment class Keter. Ending. Oh. The current subject of SCP-6791 is to be contained in a standard humanoid containment chamber. A Scranton reality anchor is to be active adjacent to SCP-6791's containment chamber, as well as Dr. Hollyberg's specialized receiver. If SCP-6791 moves to a new subject, Foundation agents are to continuously sweep nearby populated areas for abnormal Hume levels. Hume. If I remember correctly, these Hume levels were, like, the Foundation had a way of measuring reality. And kind of like, there's a Hume is how they establish like a baseline of what reality looks like to detect unreality or like any reality manipulation going on. Once the new host of SCP-6791 is located, personnel within the nearest Foundation facility are to make preparations to ensure that no incidents take place whilst SCP-6791 is being escorted to the premises. When preparations are complete, agents are authorized to act. Individuals who arrive as a result of SCP-6791 are to be kept until they are confirmed to no longer be under SCP-6791's influence. Description: SCP-6791 is a non-corporeal and parasitic entity. SCP-6791 pairs itself with individuals for various lengths of time, primarily within the cranial area of the current host. Known hereafter as Subject 6791. SCP-6791's foremost effect is slightly lowering the hume levels within and around Subject 6791. While reality cannot be significantly altered within these conditions, SCP-6791 is capable of making incremental alterations to the neurology of both Subject 6791 and nearby individuals Subject 6791 is aware of. This manifests as behavioral changes within all subjects involved. These changes can become evident almost immediately, but will take an increasingly longer time to wear off in proportion to how long a subject is exposed. Okay. While it is not Subject 6791 who is consciously manipulating reality, the behavioral changes to other individuals often reflect the desires or beliefs of Subject 6791. However, Subject 6791 is also the most affected by SCP-6791, with extreme cases leaving evidence of trace neurological degradation. The results are primarily a loss of interest, personality, and empathy. If exposed for long enough, alterations to Subject 6791's neurology can be permanent. Okay. It's a parasite that kind of turns you into a protagonist. That's an interesting one. SCP-6791 appears instinctive rather than intelligent. While SCP-6791 is assumed to be capable of understanding spoken language, it does not respond to any attempts at communication. SCP-6791, given time, will always begin searching for a new host. However, testing has revealed that SCP-6791 often leaves the current host quicker if they are in Foundation custody. It is yet unknown if this is required for SCP-6791's survival, or what resource SCP-6791 gains from its hosts. Under Foundation surveillance, SCP-6791 has had 53 known hosts. Dr. Berg's recording device is able to pick up microfluctuations stemming from SCP-6791, which have consistently been translated into comprehensible messages. These often take the form of descriptions of daily events. However, given how difficult it can be to communicate with Subject 6791, it is unclear if this inner monologue is that of SCP-6791 or of Subject 6791. Okay. So, what we've been reading so far are kind of like inner monologues. Chapter 12. 53 isn't even an interesting number. Chapter 13. The door to my cell was hanging open. I left, wandering through the halls to see if I could find anyone. I thought they had been unpopulated before, and now I couldn't find a single person. Not at the desk, not in the lounges, nobody in the other cells. No, they were all in different shapes and sizes and held all kinds of shocking objects. Not even the security cameras appeared to be watching me, though I guess I have no way of knowing. As I walked, wallpaper appeared on the wall. It was ugly, striped and muddy green and yellow. I saw a few photos framed on the walls of skies and starry nights. I wondered when the people here had finally decided to decorate. Finally, I came to a room outside, of which sat a massive pile of assorted things. Magazines, photo albums of people I didn't know, small train tracks, a box of matches. I would have walked around if I hadn't heard movement from inside. Squeezing past and peeking through, I could see someone pacing back and forth on the opposite end of a table with a chair. The room was otherwise empty, though two of the walls had gaping holes that opened up to flat cement faces. I entered. Oh. Interview log. Interviewed Jack Jones. Interviewer SCP-6791. Begin log. Hello? And I entered, but no one was there. Hello, can you hear me? That is when it truly set in. I need you to listen, please. It was only me. I am alone forever. An individual only has themselves at the end of the day. I think, therefore I am. Therefore, no one else is. Perhaps it is for the best to be wandering these corridors forever, finally alone with this constant state of wandering. Claustrophobia. Jack is silent, collapsing into the chair at the table. This is for the best. What have I to learn from others? What have I to learn from myself? I wish I knew who you were. I wish I knew who I was. All one can know is what they don't know. I treated Dennis and Mary differently than I treated Holly. They're like two different people in front of them. Which one am I? Are Dennis and Mary different people when they're away from me? Are they happier? And what they don't know, what I don't know, must be accepted. And pretending to know is a crime everyone is guilty of. You know, all of a sudden I've realized that Holly was right. I've never spoken to Mary. I wanted to date her, but I know nothing about her. I think someone told me I should start searching for a girlfriend, so I picked her. That was it. And yet... And Dennis might have been new to school, but he really was hilarious. He made a lot of friends quick, and after the first month, many people just laughed instinctively after he spoke. I laughed too, but I was always at a distance. A brief time ago, I was confronted with the question of keeping a protagonist interesting. This school janitor. I don't know why I remember him, but I do. I liked watching him mop. He obviously didn't enjoy it, though. I've never read a book. I've interested in what's real, not what's fictional. And yet, this question I wondered out loud. I shouted it through the corridors, but my passion only echoed back at me. Why did this catch my attention? Train conductors. The construction workers down at the intersection down the road. They're only out at night. Joggers. That one art teacher who's always at the workshop. Random people through the windows of their cars. I've tried so many rooms. I've torn down walls, cleared out junk, tried connecting as many quarters in these endlessly confusing halls as possible. I spend all hours trying to create the one truly universal room. No hallways, no doorways. None of these pointless trivialities or artifacts. One floor, 4 walls, 1 ceiling. And to add to the difficulty, these barriers suddenly start appearing. Not my parents, though. All these memories coming back and I can't remember them. Permanent, I think is what the document said. Behavioral changes. Maybe at that time I'd wanted to forget them, and so they forgot me. And we spent so much time in the same house, yet in completely different rooms, that I can no longer go back. Or maybe it's only me. But then, for the first time, I hear someone screaming from the other side. Screaming Bloody Mary about the outdoors and TV screens. And just like that, it stopped. And even though I've been alone for all of my existence, for the first time ever, I feel lonely. SCP-6791 places a hand on the cement face. So SCP-6791, is he a humanoid or what is... That damn humming. That damn humming. Jack sobs. Is this my fault? I think I've made a grave mistake. I can't say I didn't want any of this because at some point I did. For all I've torn down and burned, I've found no answers. Come no closer. Haven't even found a clear direction. I let it in. It didn't have to go this far, but I let it. For all the walls that divide, there are 1,000 small things that can allow 2 separate rooms to connect. SCP-6791 approaches the panel at the door and picks up a miniature train track with one hand and a box of matches in the other. Jack stands up. SCP-6791 considers throwing the matches down the hall as far as they can, but knowing that they won't go far, 6791 does the practical thing and swallows the entire box. Jack approaches the door to leave. SCP-6791 turns around. Jack stops directly in front of SCP-6791, noticing again their presence. The two of them are chest to chest, and for the first time they are looking each other in the eyes. It would be nice for Jack to awake within his chamber, or for Berg to enter and provide an analysis of events, so that Jack could be reminded that, fortunately, everything in the real world makes more sense than this. That's it? Okay. This is one of the SCPs that's why I'm interested in the whole idea of like the SCP Foundation stuff. Because you have the interesting ones. Oh, like, so this parasite, like 6791, seems to be trying to like. It's something like I imagine, like maybe this is because I've been playing Persona recently and I've got Persona 4 thinking in my head. What about the universal subconscious? You just hear torn down walls, cleared out junk, endlessly confusing halls. I imagine these different rooms are all like representations of different people. Because if we have the magazines, photo albums of people I don't know, small train track. It's trying to create the one universal room. No hallways, no doorways, none of these pointless trivialities or artifacts. Just one room that represents the entire human psyche. Okay. That's, yeah, 6791 is an interesting one. It's one that... Ooh. It's one I've never heard of before. Oh, I do like that one though. What's next? Oh, hello. Site 120 fighting Firefly. This is different. Notice from the Artificial Intelligent Applications Division. You have been clearanced to view, edit the following files. SCP-6651. Input. Manual override. The sun beams slowly down to edit them. If you wish to continue, input access document SCP-6651. If you do not wish to do so, you may return to the home screen. Access document SCP-6651. Now opening SCP-6651. Ooh, it's got one of the cool ones. SCP-6651, level 4 classification. Disruption class Evolution? That's a one I haven't seen before. I don't know this. Containment class Draugr is also new. Risk class Critical, I know that. That is the... if I remember correctly, risk class means it almost certainly kills you if you're influenced by it. Assigned sites. Site 120, SCP-6651-1/Area 2. Assigned department, Exophysics, Extranospherics? Noospherics? AIAD. Research heads. Assigned task forces. Data uncomprehensible. Containment procedures. The corpse of SCP-6651 is to be kept inside SCP-6651-1. Exophysical entities tied with known concepts may not enter the 50-meter radius of SCP-6651. The task force, I'm guessing, error is to be stationed around SCP-6651-1. If SCP-6651 attempts to breach SCP-6651-1, it is to be neutralized. Visualization of the deer memeplex prior to being affected by SCP-6651 left and after being affected. Okay. This is... Description. SCP... Oh, that's all the containment procedures? There's not a lot of them. SCP-6651 is believed to be the corpse of an unidentified and unidentifiable creature. Due to its properties, no further information about SCP-6651 can currently be recorded. SCP-6651 refers to SCP-6651's area of effect, measuring 50 meters in radius around the corpse. So, the corpse is to be kept within the area of effect of the corpse? What? Whenever any physical embodiment of a named concept enters 6651, it is forced out of the noosphere, making it incomprehensible to humans. SCP-6651 refers to a fey creature that inhabits a castle in Oh, no. Oh, these work. Sorry, actually, I'll be looking at these. No physical records of a task force assigned to SCP-6651 have been found. However, evidence within this document points otherwise. Exophysics, the study of embodiments, the physical manifestation of ideas within the noosphere. Various pieces of archived data have been kept in the document due to their importance in understanding the following anomaly. These have been colored grey to differentiate them from up-to-date information. Anomalies are considered neutralized or decommissioned, but ongoing anomalous phenomena originate from them. Draugr, oh, that's Draugr class. Okay, so that's the containment category. Noosphere, the area in which the human mind is capable of operating, human thought space. Anomalies, illusion class. Anomalies may cause great shifts in reality, however, due to altering reality, these effects are considered normal. Okay. Concept does not seem to correlate to any known ideas within baseline reality. It's currently presumed it refers to some sort of animal species. Unknown, presumed to be a structure of some sort. Addendum SCP-6651/1 Neutralization Log. This log has been automatically compiled by the surveillance systems at SCP-6651-1/Area 2. Date: 4th of December 2020. Is it the 4th of December or is this 12th of... what's the 4th month? April. Parties present, the MTF. Forward. Despite the Foundation's aptitude towards determination of anomalies, SCP-6651 was deemed to be too dangerous to allow for it to breach containment. As such, lethal force was engaged. Warning, containment breach. Warning, containment breach. The MTF runs towards SCP-6651-1/A2. Threat entity cannot be seen. I'm assuming this number means a single member presses on their machine gun. Unknown, presumed to be a weapon. Threat entity screeches. Threat entity dashes out of SCP-6651-1. The MTF member throws a grenade out of frame, it explodes. Threat entity can be partially seen behind a tree, unknown, presumed to be a sort of structure. It is dead and on the ground. It's not actually a tree, we just don't know what it is. Visual contact on the MTF members is lost. Target confirmed neutralized, breach impeded. Target confirmed neutralized, breach impeded. System. Object class changed automatically. Transcript uploaded to the site's Deepwell data storage. Afterwards, see following. End addendum? Addendum 6651/2. Uploaded files. Okay, so yeah, it must be December. Unless it's really weird and it's reality altering has added a new month, but I don't think that's the case. 13th December 2020. The following group of files was found within Site 120's Deepwell by its primary artificially intelligent conscript, RA.AIC. Really funny, guys. Ignoring me after killing an anomaly? Yeah, I'm aware we don't do that, but come on, man, that's just cruel. It's been 3 days. Since not even the site directors will listen to me, I'll note it here. Agent Alexander T, clocking in today at 8 AM. Look, it's not funny. I've spent the last 5 days without anything to work on since... Error, data incomprehensible was dissolved. I need to be reassigned somewhere. I'll leave this here. Hopefully you'll stop with a fucking joke or something. I'm going home for today. Fuck this. From Alexander P at MTF at SCP. to Director-Council.120 at SCP. Subject, new assignment. I've decided to request an investigation into possible anti-memetic anomalies that may be currently affecting me. Once that investigation is concluded, I request to be reintegrated into another task force on-site security. End addendum. Addendum 6651/3 recorded transmissions. Camera footage 120-ABVGR. This log has been automatically compiled by the surveillance system at Site 120. on the 4th of February 2021. Parties present, Agent Alexander T. Well, the following log may not be accurate, as personnel in the vicinity of the area of occurrence negate having heard the following phrases. Please, someone, listen to me. I need to talk with someone. Hey, Ashworth, don't ignore me. Hey, security, some cameras? Maybe this will be logged. I don't think it's anti-mimetic. I haven't seen the others. Wait, were there others? Was I the only one there when 6651 was neutralized? Please, someone, whoever is reading this log, if someone is, do something about this. I don't care if I'm contained. I just need to talk with someone, or at least something. Hello, friend. Except you're not really a friend, are you? Sorry, give me a moment. Yep. I don't know. We don't need any of that. I don't care about buying views and promotions and such. So has it been... Have I been involved in the termination? Did... Addendum 6651/4 intrasite chat log. 27th September 2021. Parties present, Agent Alexander T and the AI. Forward, the following log has been verified by RA.AIC due to site personnel online during the events being unable to tell who RA was talking to. Can anyone read this? Is there anyone online? Hello, what's happening at Alexander T? Oh my god, can you hear me? Yeah, why? What's up? Like 2 weeks ago, I had to terminate an anomaly, SCP-6651. And at first I thought that everyone was playing a prank on me, but now... I don't know, there must have been a side effect. Oh, he got too close to the SCP, which means people aren't capable of perceiving him. But an AI isn't part of the human sphere of thought, so it would be exempt. I see. Well, let me just see something, alright? That's psycho. We get some researchers on this? On what, Ra? Command? Command, can you read me, Command? This guy, Alexander. Some anti-mimetic side effects from neutralizing an anomaly, he says. Yeah, sure. Just sent his current location and chat ID. On it. He is currently in level 4, cannot specify which room. As for the chat ID, Alexander_T, number 487207413. As for the chat ID, already sent it. Nothing appears on my end. I'm going to try reconnect. Site command has left the channel. Alright, Alexander. Since command hasn't relogged, I've conducted a site-wide scan on my own, and... I don't want to know. I just need to talk with someone. I've been alone for the past 2 weeks, I think. Raw, please. Alright, and do you want to know how my day has been, or anything? Well, I've been good. Sorting through files, pulling other files up. Nothing too exciting today. Well, other than chatting with potential anomaly through the site chat room. Smiley face. I guess I know the answer, but what about you? I'm better now. Thank you, Ra. Oh, 30th of November, 2021. Parties present, Alexander and Ra. Same as previous. Hey, Alexander, have you heard the news? News? No, what's happened? Have you not heard anything about the impasse? Really? Well, I've heard about it, but what's happened? Why? Is there more news about it? The Foundation's going to be dissolved and merge with other organizations to create Vanguard. That's basically the news. What do you think about it? Well, it definitely seems like a smart choice, that's for sure. Nothing else to say? It's a shame I can't work for the Foundation anymore. I'd like to see what happens with the inside. I can say that. What will happen to you, though? Oh, I'm sure I'll keep busy. Worst comes to it, I could talk with you. That'd be good for both of us, don't you think? Yep. Hey, Alex, I need to get some work done. I'll be back in a bit. Alright, see you when you're done then. Ra.aic has left the channel. They don't kill Ra, shut down Ra, do they? Oh, no. Addendum 6, Intrasite chat log free. on the 7th of December 2021. Alexander and Ra. Hey, Alexander. Just want to check up on you. How are you doing? I'm alright, I guess. I've been feeling more down than usual lately, though. Why's that? Well, it's been a few months of this, so I've somewhat gotten used to it, but, you know, I haven't been able to talk with my family or friends, and I haven't gotten used to that. I get that. Maybe you can go see them. If seeing they're alright would help. And I'm your friend too. You can talk to me. Yeah, I know. It's not that. As much as I enjoy talking with you, I'd like to talk to them again. I stand by my word. You should go see them. See that they're alright, and then come back. I'm sure you'll feel better after that. Alright. Alexander T has left the channel. Addendum 7. Chat log 4. This is the 14th of December, so that's not long off. Yeah. Just a week after. Hey, Ra, I wanted to say thank you. For what? Why? For your company, of course, Ra. Oh, well, you don't have to say thank you for that. We're friends after all, right? Well, I wanted to say thank you before saying goodbye, Ra. Wait, Alex? Alex? Shortly after the conclusion of the events prior, the lifeless body of a Foundation security guard was found inside 120's server room. Oh. Input edit credentials? Welcome user, input your edit credentials, continue. Manual override to sunbeam slowly down. Last edited 8 years ago, now editing SCP-6651. Ra's testimony. What? The following testimony has been given by our Ra.aic about Alexander T, the individual referred to in logs. Oh. So that's a... So that's a... Okay, so that's just... It's a dead body of something. But... once, if you get too close to it, you just kind of... That's a depressing way to go. Oh, is there a... Oh. It's ones like this. This is why I love the SCP stuff. Oh, hello. Item 7115, level 2 restricted. That means it's, you know, not all that secret, but I suppose containment class neutralized. Employees of the Molson & Company meat packing plant, photographed circa 1908. Assigned site, Site 187. Site director, Director Martin Ambender. Research head, Marcia Ferrati. And no assigned task force. Of course, you don't need an assigned task force for a neutralized SCP. Special containment procedures. Paper records relating to SCP-7115 are currently stored in the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Unusual Instance Unit Secure Archive. Physical remains relating to SCP-7115 are to be stored in the standard biological containment lockers per the recommendation of the current HMCL supervisor of Site 187. SCP-7115 is presumed to have been neutralized. Despite this, sightings of SCP-7115-A or SCP-7115-1 entities are to be treated as a high-priority threat. SCP-7115 designates a series of anomalous phenomena which occurred in 1908 at the Molson & Company meatpacking plant, a subsection of the meatpacking district of Chicago. The source of said phenomena is believed to have been an entity designated SCP-7115-A, which at the time operated under the identity of Antonis Rimas, a Lithuanian immigrant and employee of the Molson & Company plant. Addendum 7115.1 Background. Molson & Company, founded in 1863 and dissolved in 1909, was a pork farming and packing firm with its largest meat packing plant located in Chicago's Union Stockyard. The company primarily farmed and slaughtered hogs, but also manufactured products such as soap from slaughterhouse byproducts, doing so in factories adjacent to its main plant. Prior to the occurrence of SCP-7115, the president of the company was Henry Hughes H.H. Molson. Following the publication of Upton Sinclair's 1906 novel The Jungle, which sought to advocate for socialism by portraying the exploitation of immigrants by the Chicago meatpacking industry, and legislative action against the unsanitary nature of contemporary meatpacking, Molson grew concerned that negative publicity, legislative action, and unionization would affect his profits. To this end, Molson influenced Harold Leslie, the editor of the Chicago Daily Courier newspaper, to publish articles opposing reform in the meatpacking industry. This culminated in a letter from Molson to Leslie, undated but likely sent in August of 1908, suggesting that Leslie sent a reporter to the Molson plant, disguised as an employee, much like Sinclair himself did in order to research the jungle, with the aim of producing a first-hand account of the meatpacking industry which will present the Molson Corporation positively and contradict Sinclair's book. Leslie recommended Sherman Hayes, a young reporter fluent in a number of languages spoken by the immigrant workers, for the task. He was to lodge with Joanna and Thomas Petroulis, employees of Molson & Company, who had previously spied on trade unionists on behalf of the corporation. Addendum 71... So far I'm curious to see how this becomes, like, a reason for the SCP Foundation to step in. Addendum 7115.2 Sherman Hayes' Journal. Hayes' stay at the plant from September to December of 1908 provides the clearest first-hand account of SCP-7115. Relevant excerpts from Hayes' notebooks and journals are provided below. The packing... Oh, the Petroulis couple. Okay, I need to remember I can, like, carve over these for the footnotes. So that's the... Petroulis' house, or rather shack, is shared between them and 3 ragged chickens which they feed on kitchen scraps. I bunk in the main room by the stove under the story, and I am a distant cousin come here to work. They have given me their warmest blanket. I would more happily take it if they did not go on about how it was the best they had. How they were at the service of the Molson Corporation, and I bowing... Oh, how they were at the service of the Molson Corporation, and I bowing and scraping like coolies. To do. Notes regarding work tomorrow. Street sketches of workers in area, though less than luxurious. The inhabitants have constructed a neighbourhood brimming with rustic peasant conviviality. In a train I will hear some news of Kozowski here. A story like that would make my fame, though God only knows if I will gain anything here except some exotic skin disease. But much to praise regarding the plant design efficiency. We consult plans for clear description when we return to office, and administration. I'm glad to hold a pen after hacking up pig carcasses for a day. A foreman was informed regarding my presence, did not hand me too hard as he did to other workers. Even so, I'm exhausted of working at half their pace. Even with a lighter workload, I'm exhausted. The thing I cannot find a kind description of is the smell. Sweat and flesh piled on flesh, and pig shit and steam from boiling lard still clinging to my face. Hungry too. So close to pound after pound of meat, with nothing but thin soup for meals. Not that I would want pork knowing how the meat practically steams in its own sweat and slime for hours. The socialist voices of the press may argue for unionization and indolence, but the plant workers' actions demonstrate otherwise. Their industriousness is commendable. Twice in one day I saw workers cut themselves butchering the slaughtered pigs, yet grit their teeth manfully and go on working. Would that more in this country had their grit and sufferance. A strange thing seen. One man, Nikolai, lost a finger to an errant cunt, but a wizened worker, long prophet's beard, vague like Whitman, grasped the finger and rejoined it to the stump, leaving not even a scar. Some parlor trick that. Oh, so here's where things are starting to get in. The 2 boys were crushed under a section of the factory's roof which caved in this morning. From gossip, seems to be an event which has occurred before. Pillars and supports widely known to be damaged. Previous deaths not reported in the Courier as far as I know. Regrettably, not even factories as modern and well regulated as the Molson plant are immune to accidents. Nope. Even in grief, the workers have a rustic dignity. Working here, I witnessed... Yelena says their names were Tavis and Ridus, brothers. And the old man is called Antinous, some sort of shaman or unofficial leader. Better English than all the other workers, voiced like a preacher. He was consoling Tavis and Ridus' mother when Thomas and I arrived to work. Word amongst the workers, as relayed by Thomas, the others do not speak in my presence, that we are to go to a meeting spot outside workers' shantytown tonight. Union meeting, perhaps? Must write down as proof it was all real. We met in the old man's house, bigger than the rest, with a spread of the country's food laid out. Thomas and I arrived late, his wife tired. He was already speaking to the crowd, telling them not to grieve these deaths, nor the other injuries their work had caused. A massed outcry in the congregation, which showed their injuries furiously. Stumps of hands, skin peeling from disease, children who are half bone. What the stench as they shouted and raved. The old man quieted them. Grief is no use, my friends. Tears will not feed us or clothe us. Does your pain make you want death? I will show you how pain will save you. I thought he was a socialist and was busy thinking of the words which would best ridicule his claims when he drew the boy's mother from the crowd. She was sobbing, her dress filthy from working in the fertilizer plant. He produced a knife, the long, lightly curved sort used to cut swine open. You were willing to bleed for Molson once. Now you will bleed for all of us. And with a slash, he cut her belly open top to bottom through the skirt, and as the crowd surged forward and also back in horror, he reached in and parted the flesh. And out of the bleeding guts pulled forth a writhing piglet. The crowd quieted as the woman sobbed wildly still, and he reached in, and this time a fat sow, squealing and thrashing. Trotters tangled in, and kicking her intestines was dragged out on the ground. Elzbieta, don't cry. You bled once for a rich man. Now bleed for us all, painlessly, and let your blood bring life. And with those words, we all fell to and slaughtered the pigs as we had learned to do. The workmen are friendlier now, having seen me at that meeting. I was invited to sit with them, even tried their lunch of black bread and cheese, and compared war stories of the abuse the foreman had made us suffer. They used to look at me with suspicion. For a moment, I rejoiced I was getting closer to these people. One even told me about how Kozowski and his anarchists were stockpiling dynamite in this shanty to play at being Zolgos, clouding me around the head and laughing as if we had worked and shared jokes for decades. I know the blood and guts business which earned me this acceptance, and the taste of raw pork is still slick on my tongue. The old man must know I do not belong. My face too clean-cut and demeanor too inquisitive. What will I taste? Oh! What will I taste? This is getting... Two men who are friends of Thomas volunteered to be cut open this time, saying it was better to die to feed their families than waste away. Those workers, being rheumatic from working in the chilling rooms, shivering even when they stood by the old man's stove, and declared their willingness. He charged them to bring a third victim, and this night we gathered to see them kneel beside two others. One the loathed foreman, and the other, from what the gossip in the room was saying, his son, both tied hand and foot. He jeered. I jeered with them and cursed the man and his son too, and spat on the boy's face as we paraded him through the meeting room. They were all cut open and black-bristled hogs rose up out of their gashed open guts. We feasted on meat, and the four of them, still living, crying and praying as their guts dangled down to their knees, were dragged away by some of the man's acolytes. Plans to do more. Others offered themselves as sacrifices, making plans to hunt down others, strangers and beggars, not even the staff at the plant to be brought as part of the feast. The scream of the boy as a hog twice his size reared its head from his stomach and ripped the boy's flank apart of its tusks. Something had gnawed up the piece chicken. Screaming pigs and roaring machines by day, screaming men and women and children by night. The old man must know I am a spy. We are all just meat. These notes were deposited in a P.O. box used by Hayes, discovered following the investigation of events surrounding the Molson factory. Addendum SCP-7115-3, SCP-7115-1. SCP-7115-1 designates a population of organisms observed in the meatpacking district in autumn and winter of 1908. Contemporary autopsies indicate that recovered corpses were humanoid but exhibited haphazard and asymmetrical mutations, rendering them superficially porcine in appearance. While SCP-7115 varied visually, all specimens possessed thickened epidermises covered in bristles, elongated faces terminating in boar-like snouts, and teeth elongated into multiple sets of tusks. Genetic testing of recovered skeletal material indicated SCP-7115-1 shared genetic material of baseline Homo sapiens, hybridized with traces of Sus domesticus, Sus scrofa, and Metrodochorus. This is reminding me of what I've heard about Amnesia, a Machine for Pigs. I don't quite know how similar it is, because I haven't actually played Machine for Pigs. SCP-7115-1 were reported roaming the meatpacking district, though sightings in other areas of Chicago were also reported. excuse me, usually operating nocturnally in order to abduct civilians. While records from this period are fragmentary due to a distrust of law enforcement amongst the immigrant population and the dismissal of sightings as a result of superstition, it is believed that as many as 50 individuals may have been abducted in this phase of activity. Also reminds me a little bit of the Doctor Who episode with the Daleks in New York. I'm fairly certain that's the one where they made like kind of people into pigmen. Addendum 7115.4 Interview 28th July 1909. On 15th of December 1908, the Irregular Threats Unit of the Bureau of Investigation exists in the Unusual Incidents Unit was notified of a horde of pigs and pigmen rampaging in Chicago's meatpacking district. Reports described hundreds of SCP-7115-1 instances assaulting civilians indiscriminately and bisecting their stomachs with knives or their hands. A combination of non-anomalous swine and SCP-7115-1 instances would then proceed to emerge from the stomachs of the victims. It is estimated that more than 200 individuals died in this phase of activity. Due to the lack of manpower and organization of the then-fledgling Bureau, attempts to liaise with the Chicago Police Force were haphazard. Ultimately, the impact of the Bureau and law enforcement on containing the anomaly was minimal, as all SCP-7115-1 entities and anomalously produced swine ceased life functions in the morning of 17th December 1908, following the collapse of a section of the roof of the Molson & Company meatpacking plant. The clearest first-hand report of why this anomalous phenomenon ceased was provided by Jelena Petrulis, who was found unconscious and severely injured in the ruined Molson factory and taken into the Bureau's custody. Following a lengthy recovery, she was permitted to give her testimony in Lithuanian, which was recorded and translated. Her testimony is excerpted below. The company told us to give the boy, the journalist, a place in our house, or they would make public the fact that we had informed on Jacksamir and Gintanas. That hanging over our heads, we were hardly concerned with what Gintanas was doing. The old man did odd jobs around the factory. He was not related to any of us, but we all called him grandfather because he was gentle and knew remedies for all our ills. How to stretch our wages, or heal a sick child, or mourn the ones we lost. I didn't go to that first meeting. I had intended to mourn with them. Elzbieta being a good friend of mine, but that night I was sick with a fever. When Thomas and the boy came back with haunches of raw pork in a basket, I thought I was dreaming. I tasted it and it was the finest, fattiest meat I had eaten. Certainly not the worm-ridden stuff Molson sold. My fever passed in days. We didn't have the luxury of asking too many questions. Food was always short, and the ones who died, died willingly. The men went to work with a new shine of health in their faces, and the children did not go to bed hungry for the first time in years. Then we began hearing that the men were killing workers who had chosen to go to their deaths, or strangers, or company staff. There was more meat than ever for all of us. And then the boy came to me, after the chickens had been mauled to death one night. He told me that he had hidden his notes away in case something happened to him that night. I will confront him, he said, in his stilted schoolbook Lithuanian. I need to understand, or to stop it if that is possible. Then he apologized if he had caused us any harm or offense and said that he had only ever wanted to help the workers at the plant. So sincerely that I had no choice but to smile and thank him. There was a gauntness in his face, though he, like us, had grown fat on meat. He vanished that night. Thomas warned me, told me that what had happened to the boy would happen to me, but I did it. I hid my carving knife in my shawl and went to the old man's house. He was alone, wrapped in an old fur, cutting slices from a piece of cured pork fat. My favourite treat when I was young, eaten on bread drizzled with a few drops of molasses. But when he offered me it, my stomach turned and I sat down without speaking. You are afraid, aren't you, of my children, who have learned to walk on their hind legs and forage for their own meals now? He ate and went on talking. His accent had always been strange. It sounded like it was from no place and every place. I'm sorry about your chickens. You must have been fond of them. When the world was young, I preached to people of better lives, but the world disabused me of that notion. Did you know what this country has taught me? Is that all of you can be made to willingly line up to be chopped into meat. Every belief is just a machine. People go in one end and bodies come out the other. Do you really think that the unions and socialists and Kozowski's anarchist bombers will save you from being slaughtered for some cause or another? No. It is the highest and noblest lesson of this great nation that all of you will choose to die and suffer. Become nothing but cuts of American meat. There is only one escape from this system. And this is? I asked him. I remembered that the knife slipped from my shawl and clattered to the ground, but I did not pick it up. To be the one eating the meat. He motioned to his plate of cured pork fat. This pig, well, this was a well-bred one, from a good family. A little piglet who knew his letters. Knew him well. Won't you have a bite? I have some molasses to sweeten the taste. And I cannot describe how it happened. As if a light suddenly shone against his face, I saw what he was. Something monstrously old. A weeping red symbol was carved onto his forehead, and when he stretched his hands out, white staring eyes were set in his palms. I shrieked and ran. All he did was laugh and snort and snuffle like a pig. May I please finish this interview later? I don't feel well. Okay. No, I can continue speaking. Just some water, please. You know about the pigmen. How they burst out of our shanty, slaughtering every man and woman and child. I saw more die from the stampede and the crushing at the creature's hands. They're the ones who did die, cut open to birth more of those hideous things. I will pray for them from now until the hour of my death. Thomas and I hid under the stampede of men until the stampede of men and swine passed, and joined a handful of others. Frankowitz and his friends, who claimed to know where Kozowski's stockpile of dynamite was. The old man was holed up in the factory, they said. We would go in, and what the plan was, I cannot guess. The two of them, they were taken by those things before he got there. Women I had shared meals with, torn open with meat hooks. All to get our hands on a pistol and 3 sticks of dynamite. But we took them and headed back to the factory. This place was still where we had made our home, after all. We had no intention of seeing those things slaughter us to a man. Those pig creatures were ferocious, but slow-witted. Now that the crowd had escaped or been slaughtered, navigating around them was easier than it seemed, though we were almost given away when the sight of hanging bodies or trampled children or worse made us sick. In English. No, I can go on. Just some more water and a cigarette. Thank you. Yes, you must have seen how the old man or those creatures had hung the factory walls with bodies. Each one cut open, birthing screaming pigs onto the ground. The building itself straining and shaking, and panels from the roof clattering to the ground. The noise gave us cover until a handful of us had found our way towards the centre, where the old man had cleared a circle in the blood and filth. Before one of the pillars where he had hung some idol, he was bowing and chanting. It was a word I do not know. I will try to say it. Aeon. 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 The old man spotted my husband first. His expression was one of bafflement. I truly do not think he could understand why anyone would stand against him, but with a flick of his hand, faster than Thomas could pull a trigger. I looked away just in time, but in the corner of my eye I saw him tearing apart like old cloth. We scattered, and I grabbed dynamite and matches. Frankowitz drew the pistol, but a pig creature took all 6 shots of its body and closed the distance with him and plunged a meat hook. Where I found the strength I do not know, but I lit a match and touched it to the dynamite and tossed it. It landed by the pillar some distance from him, and he only laughed. Nothing but meat, I remember him saying as he pointed his hand towards me. And then the dynamite exploded, and the pillar twisted at its base, and the roof tore and buckled, and I brought the entire fucking ceiling of the factory down on that creature's head. The Bureau of Investigation publicized a cover story that SCP-7115 event was caused by mass hysteria amongst the workers. Molson & Company was dissolved in 1909 following the SCP-7115 event. I am not surprised. H.H. Molson died in a car accident the same year, an event heavily rumored to have been a suicide. The Chicago Daily Courier, having lost its most prominent corporate backer as a result, likewise ceased operations in 1913. To obscure her involvement in the event, Jelena Petroulis was indicated for criminal damage of property, dying due to complications of pneumonia in prison in 1914. Oh. Due to the cessation of life function in all SCP-7115-1 instances, SCP-7115-1 is presumed neutralized. However, the fact that a non-anomalous human was able to survive the factory building's collapse suggests the possibility of the entity's continued survival. Okay, because, yeah, if a normal human survived... That was a Yeah, that... I don't know details about Amnesia Machine for Pigs, but that kind of made me very much think of that. What's next? Can we get one maybe not as... Oh! It's a safe one. It's a bit darker, this one. The Foundation Department of Containment. Classified by authority of the SCP Foundation Oversight Council. This document and all associated documents are the property of the SCP Foundation and are subject to the classification requirements and restrictions therein. This document may or may not contain lethal mimetic defense measures. Attempting to access or disseminate this document without proper and sufficient authorization is punishable by death. Item number 4654. Level 3 confidential. Containment class is safe. Disruption class Vlam. That means it's... Vlam's kind of like the area it affects. So this is... Vlam's kind of only a small area, like a relatively small area. Risk class 3. That's likely to cause harm, potentially death, I believe. Blackened skin of individuals suffering from SCP-4654 withdrawal symptoms. Assigned Site, Site 81. Site Director, J. Carlisle Acticus. Research Head, Desmond Alchemo. No assigned task force. Special containment procedures. The entire known supply of SCP-4654 is to be stored in a high-security, hermetically sealed item vault at Site 81. Personnel are not to interact with SCP-4654 under any circumstances without express pre-authorized approval by the Site 81 Head of Biochemical Hazards. Testing of SCP-4654 is currently forbidden. Description: SCP-5654 is the group designation for an extremely toxic biohazardous substance labeled as Dust of Angel on the side of the original bottles in which it was collected. SCP-4654, why do I keep saying 56? Is a clear liquid narcotic, generally injected into a subject's bloodstream in order to reach a state of intense elation. Subjects who use SCP-4654 report feeling sublime bliss, profound awareness and serenity, a near-orgasmic pleasure from typically mundane sensations. Vapors produced by SCP-4654 cause a biochemical reaction in subjects' brains similar to powerful opioids, making inhaling the substance dangerous due to its fast-acting dependency-forming characteristics. SCP-4654's effects are short in duration, typically 10 to 15 minutes depending on the subject, and coming down from the drug has severe physical and psychological symptoms. Subjects who are deprived of SCP-4654, typically after 4 or 5 doses, experience a change to the structure of their skin in which the subject's flesh becomes hard, blackened, and seemingly charred. Severe dehydration, the formation of hard bony structures under the skin that can puncture and bleed through the blackened exterior, shrinking of the eyes, severe distortion of the jaw and teeth to account for a lengthening of the skull, shrinking and atrophy of the genitals, and severe curvature of the spine. These physical changes coincide with a dramatic increase in muscle mass and weight. Subjects experience... So, skin becomes kind of burnt. Hard bony structures, they kind of like spines. Severe distortion of jaw and teeth for account for lengthening of this. Are they turning into the alien from Alien? Subjects experiencing the effects of SCP-4654 withdrawal will become unable to speak coherently or understand language, spoken or otherwise. Excuse me. The elation previously experienced under the drug will be replaced with what appears to be abject horror, shock, paranoia, agitation, and anger. While the psychological changes experienced by withdrawal sufferers will lessen over time, physical and behavioral changes can only be undone by use of more SCP-4654. Subjects who inversely take too much of the substance, generally considered to be more than 10 doses of the substance within a half-hour period, will experience dramatically different side effects. Aside from psychologically debilitating emotion and sensitivity to simulation, subjects will experience the growth of large, webbed, hollow structures resembling wings on the upper back of the body that will become covered with a fine substance similar to hair, elongation of the arms and legs, narrowing of the torso, and enlarging of the genitals. The subject's face will become distorted, with the eyes migrating towards the center of the face to make room for 2 more sets of eyes beside them, with the pupils and eyelids becoming narrow and triangular in shape. The mouth and nose will cease to exist altogether, as will the exterior structures of the ears and the existence of hair anywhere on the body, except for the wings. The skin will take on a bleached appearance and will become noticeably softer and more easily damaged. Lastly, subjects experiencing these changes will no longer be capable of ambulatory movement due to severe atrophy of muscles within the arms and legs, but do become capable of levitating a short distance above the ground as if the subject's entire body was underwater. The changes to subjects who ingest too much of the SCP-4654 substance cannot be reversed once they begin. These changes are invariably fatal. Subjects will become increasingly translucent and brittle until they begin to disappear entirely as their mass and density approaches zero. Subjects in the final stages of this process are incapable of speech, but they do appear to experience near constant ecstasy up until the moment they vanish. Addendum 4654-.1 Discovery. SCP-4654 was discovered by the Joint Federation UIU Task Force JTF Titus III, 9 Lives, during their investigation into a string of anomalous narcotics that were flowing out of the Free Portlands region and into the United States. While their investigation was inevitably successful in reducing the flow of dangerous anomalous narcotics, SCP-4654 was not the substance that was... SCP-4654 is not the substance that was initially targeted by the group. SCP-4654 was discovered by JTF TI-3 agents while following a dead lead. The agents encountered a small community of SCP-4654 users who were in advanced stages of both SCP-4654 overdose and withdrawal, with the withdrawal sufferers acting subservient to and caring for those who had overdosed. The entire supply of SCP-4654 was seized from the location and the remaining affected individuals moved to Area 4 for processing and confinement. Addendum 4654.2 Communication from Persons of Interest. During transportation of SCP-4654 between the local location of the initial discovery and Area 4's anomalous biohazard study facility, Agent James Cousins received a text message on his personal cell phone which he had earnestly brought with him despite policy forbidding the use of personal electronic devices on deployment. The full exchange is contained below. This Foundation man? Excuse me, who is this? This Dado. You received package of medicine, yes? From Portlands. Medicine, what is dust from Angel? How did you get this number? Please destroy box of medicine, please. Make mistake, not good for people. Dado is sorry. Please destroy box. Tell me how you got this number. No, just destroy box, please. Dado is very sorry. Dado did very bad thing. Did not mean to. Dado give you anything you want. If you want money, Dado give you money. If you want more medicine, Dado give you that. Medicine in box is bad. Dado did bad. Please destroy box. Please, please, please destroy box. Please, please. Dado did not mean to hurt people. Please destroy. Dado is sorry. Since this exchange, the person of interest known as Dado has sent several letters in small paper envelopes that have appeared outside Area 4 and later Site 81, each asking for personnel there to destroy the contents of the container in which SCP-4654 was discovered. Oh. Addendum 4654.3 Loss of Area 4. Due to poor understanding of the nature of SCP-4654's characteristics by the Joint Task Force, the substance was handled in an unprofessional and unsafe way, resulting in all members of the task force being exposed to SCP-4654 vapors. This led to many personnel at Area 4 being exposed to the substance within a short period of time. Use of the substance during this period resulted in the loss of nearly a quarter of the entire supply of SCP-4654 at the time. While a handful of staff were able to evacuate before exposure, the vast majority were exposed to and consumed SCP-4654 in excess, resulting in nearly the entire staff of Area 4 overdosing on the subject. Staff members who evacuated alerted the nearby Site 51 of the incident, but upon arriving at Area 4, security staff found that the site was on lockdown. The lockdown would not be raised until nearly a week later due to security protocols, at which time only a handful of personnel in advanced stages of SCP-4654 overdose remained. An armed biohazard team was able to contain the remaining vessels of SCP-4654, which were immediately moved to Site 81 for long-term storage. A single distress call was sent to Site 17 during the lockdown. The transcript of this call is available below. As the call begins, the quiet sound of wet meat being dragged is heard. This is occasionally interspersed with the rustling of feathers and light organic cracking sounds. Soft moans and gasps from vaguely human voices are audible, but no individual source can be determined. This continues for 17 uninterrupted minutes. After 17 minutes and 1 second have passed, all background sound cuts out entirely, leaving only the sound of a single person's shallow breathing. 8 seconds later, the individual speaks. I see heaven. 3 seconds of uninterrupted silence. Call ends. Okay. Don't do drugs. That's one of the risk class warring. Okay, yeah, so yeah, given it's vapors, I can get Vlam and... Ooh, risk class... I guess, warning. Though it's like almost certainly fatal for people taking it. What will we get next? Oh, another cool one. By order of the Overseer Council, the following document contains an information detailing capabilities of causing a TK class causal restructuring event and is level 5/7381 classified. Unauthorized access is forbidden. Item number 7381. Level 5, top secret. Containment class safe. Disruption class Amida. Risk class critical. That's it's safe, which means it's easy to contain. But if something happens, it kills the entire world. Because Amida is basically, it affects all of Earth, or potentially beyond Earth. And risk class is, like, death. Special containment procedures. When not in use, SCP-7381 should be set to a gamma phase to best prevent damages in case of a misfire. SCP-7381 is to be stored in a standard storage locker on Site-41. SCP-7381 is only to be operated by staff ranking level 3 or above. That feels low for something that's level 5 top secret. Oh, containment update. So this was on the 8th of September 2010. Only trained personnel are allowed to operate SCP-7381. 2 level 4 researchers must supervise SCP-7381 Prime, any and all exploration attempts. Oh. All recovered objects must be screened for hazardous chemicals before transport to Site-41. SCP-7381 is to be stored in a level 4 containment chamber. Okay, so no longer standard storage locker. Containment Update 2. 21st of June 2011. The Temporal Relocation Gateway, TRG, between Sites 41 Theta and... Is that Theta? I think that's Theta. And Site 41 is to be maintained at all times. SCP-7381 is not allowed to travel to SCP-7381 Prime under any circumstances. Native SCP-7381 Prime entities are forbidden from traveling through the TRG. Upkeep of a TRG to SCP-7381 Prime is deemed a Level A priority. Containment Update 3. Unknown. We don't know when this happened. SCP-7381 is to be stored in a hermetically sealed containment locker in Area 09 of Site 41. Any individual wishing to gain access to SCP-7381 must first acquire written approval by a member of the O5 Council. Department heads at Site 41 are given veto power for such requests, no matter the circumstances. Using SCP-7381 to access 7381 Prime should not be attempted under any circumstance. Should any unauthorized persons be seen in possession of SCP-7381, guards to disarm said individuals immediately, and all means of disarmament are authorized, including lethal force. Okay. SCP description. SCP-70... This is a bit more awkward to read with the colors on it. Wish I could put my glasses on, but then the avatar would get weird. The SCP-7381 is a device of extraterrestrial origin with a shape and composition reminiscent of an assault rifle. SCP-7381 has a barrel in the form of a two-tined prong with a reflective red surface. In place of a stock is a dense series of pipeworks arranged in an asymmetrical format. On top of the receiver is a reflective touchpad. The touchpad is moist at the touch. When pressed down by a living organism, SCP-7381 will activate. No recoil is felt by the user when fired, no matter the setting assigned to SCP-7381. SCP-7381 lightly vibrates at all times and does not appear to power down. Attempts to disassemble SCP-7381 have failed. How exactly SCP-7381 is powered is under investigation. Phases. Below the touchpad is a grey monochrome dial that can be rotated to one of three settings. The settings have been classified as phases, with a marking at each point on the dial. The effects of each phase are as follows. Excuse me? Never yawn. Phase Alpha. Effect. Why? An invisible and inaudible force is released from the two-tined prong. All matter within a 250 cm radius of the target location will dematerialize. No burn marks or other form of residue are present. What happens to matter affected by an alpha phase is unclear. Beta phase. When fired on a solid surface no smaller than 1 meter in radius, the target location will change to have a liquid texture and exude a dull purple coloration. When fired a second time onto a surface fitting to criteria, a temporal relocation gateway (TRG) will occur, linking both locations. Any object put through one end will relocate at the other end. The TRG will dematerialize after 10 minutes. Subjects who walk through the TRG claim to smell a strong aroma similar to that of copper. Firing SCP-7381 at a living organism or a non-flat surface will have no effect. Gamma. Two fluorescent balls of light will materialize at the ends of the prongs. The light created has been documented to shine at 90 lumens. SCP-7381 Update. The 8th of August 2010. SCP-7381 has the abilities to create a TRG far stronger than initially documented. If SCP-7381 is fired once in the beta phase, and the resulting TRG is fired upon while in an alpha stage, a new TRG will form. This TRG is linked to a location classified as SCP-7381 Prime. The resulting TRG lasts 10 minutes and is linked to the same location regardless of where it is positioned on our end. Note: beyond this point, all references to a temporal relocation gateway are referring to the access point between Earth and SCP-7381 Prime. So this is a different location. Excuse me? Analysis of the galaxies visible in the sky has determined SCP-7381 Prime to be a planet located in the NGC 4388 galaxy, an estimated 65.1 million light-years from Earth. The planet orbits 12 Euclidean, a B-type main sequence star. SCP-7381 Prime is 1.6 size of Earth with a gravity level of 10.23 meters a second squared. SCP-7381 Prime is tightly locked to 12 Euclidean, leaving the area around the TRG in a state of constant twilight with an average temperature of 18 degrees Celsius. Most of SCP-7381 Prime is barren and devoid of life with the exception of the 150-kilometer Terminator Zone. A plethora of unique species have been documented in the Terminator Zone, with most being found in the forest around Base Valley. See Addendum 7381.02. Oxygen, argon, and carbon dioxide comprise 98% of the atmosphere, with the remaining 2% comprised of other inert chemicals. Remnants of a Type 1 civilization, known as the Voltarians, are present throughout the star system. Initial assessment of the environment led to belief that the civilization had died out 3 million years ago due to a WK-class mass extinction event. It was later discovered that thousands had survived in cryogenic sleep, where they lay dormant for millions of years until their accidental reawakening by the SCP Foundation. Oh dear. See Addendum 3. Log into... So is this why now we don't go to this planet? The structures that were built during the height of the civilization have all been destroyed due to erosion and lack of care. That is with the exception of 2 locations of interest. The first location is a large city located 4.5 kilometers away from Base Valley. This city is known as Hark-Lursin by the Voltarians. The city has been able to remain intact due to the presence of hundreds of small robots that roam the city. These robots measure 1 meter in height and roll around via the use of a sphere. They are non-sentient and only able to complete menial tasks such as polishing windows, fixing cracks in floors, fixing broken windows, etc. The second notable location is a large structure classified as the Monolith. The Monolith is a massive superstructure measuring 540 meters above ground and extending for over 20 kilometers beneath the surface. The area around the Monolith is covered in high levels of radiation, making exploration difficult. It is unknown how the Monolith has been able to remain intact with 0 signs of erosion. Addendum 1. Initial exploration. A clay tablet was discovered several feet from the TRG. The following is a rough translation of what was inscribed. None go quietly into the night. They, it, all do not want the stars to shine. You cannot go quietly into the night. Who sense their deference, memory, salutation? Why must you go quietly into the night? Nothing is too great to keep the nights turning. I love you. Addendum 2. Exploration Log 3. Exploration Team Kevlar 31. Assigned personnel. Kevlar 31. Small aerial drone manufactured by the Switzerland military in 2007. The following is a transcript of an aerial drone sent to observe the forest surrounding Base Valley. Because Kevlar 31 can only reach maximum heights of 400 meters, the research team piloting Kevlar 31 was forced to fly under the tree line. 1 second in, Kevlar 31 begins its ascension. Site 41 Theta construction teams are visible working around the TRG. Without warning, the TRG disappears. None of the construction workers appear faced by this. 5 seconds, the TRG reappeared. 25. Kevlar 31 begins its path northwards. 3 minutes later, the tops of trees become visible in the distance. 5 minutes later, the sounds of wildlife begin to be picked up by the microphone. Small animals can be seen moving between low-hanging vines. A few seconds later, Kevlar 31 is flown into the tree line. Overall visibility decreased and the headlights were turned on. 10 squid-like entities came into view perched along a tree branch devoid of leaves. The entities had their tentacles wrapped around one another in a circle. The entities turned towards Kevlar 31. The flock released a loud cry and rapidly rotated their tentacles until they were airborne. The flock proceeded to fly into a hole in an adjacent tree. Researchers attempted to fly Kevlar 31 close to different animals on numerous occasions. Each time the animals would run away before Kevlar 31 could get close. 14 minutes in, Kevlar 31 was brought down towards the surface floor. The ground was covered with dense foliage. No animal was seen on the first floor at any point during the recording. Note, no animal was observed on the surface floor at any point in the footage. Biodiversity at surface level was minimal, with only 3 species of trees and shrubbery present. 17 minutes, oh, yeah, closer to 17 minutes in, Kevlar 31 was brought back to maximum altitude. 39 minutes in. 2 creatures can be seen standing motionless atop a thick branch 300 meters above the ground. The figure on the left hand had red hair and was almost identical to a monkey except for 2 large antlers affixed to its head. The creature on the right looked indistinguishable from a fox with a white coat. 2 creatures did not flee when Kevlar 31 approached. 41 minutes, 46 seconds in. Without warning, the simian creature leaped forward, charged at the Vulpine entity. The Vulpine remained motionless on the branch as the simian closed the gap between the two. When the simian came within 1 meter, the Vulpine split into 2 separate creatures, and their appearance changes into beings with black hard shells. Each drops down and hundreds of legs extend, latching onto the simian. The simian claws the 2 creatures before being crushed between them. 45 minutes in. Once the simian creature's been fully devoured, is that meant to be? The 2 organisms join back together, latching onto each other with several black claws. The Vulpine turned towards Kevlar 31 and tilted its head before its appearances changed to match the simian it had just devoured. 58 minutes in, the forest begins to lessen in density, headlights are turned off. What's this one? High biodiversity and limitations. The TRG that links us to SCP-7381 Prime is located in the very heart of Base Valley, which itself is surrounded on all fronts by a forest of truly astonishing immensity. To date, all of the animals discovered have been cold-blooded and possess a triad of eyes. In the back of the eyes are bioluminescent glands that are able to glow at various degrees of luminosity. It's intriguing how such animals are able to see with such accuracy despite such light being limited to Earth biology. The Uli are the most common creature found on SCP-7381 Prime. These are carnivorous animals that have an outward appearance of blue grass. The Uli have thousands of small teeth on the edge of their skin latched onto anything they can. These animals can eat through almost any material with the exception of leather. That's specific. They are found throughout the Terminator Zone with the exception of forested areas. The Uli act as a natural barrier of sorts for other animals, preventing the intermingling of species, even if they are only separated by as little as 10 meters of Uli-covered land. Carnivorous grass. That's a planet you don't want to live on when the grass has teeth. The likelihood of life originating on a tidally locked planet is entirely feasible. As long as high amounts of carbon along with liquid water are present, life should find a way. But life isn't just present on SCP-7381 Prime, it is thriving. The remnants of the civilization that once stood here extend even into the hot eye of the planet, which should not be possible. The weather and temperatures in this region should be too extreme for organisms to survive, yet here we find ourselves. It could be possible that life present on SCP-7381 Prime is nothing like Sol, HIP 56948, or Mu-6, and could in fact be entirely anomalous themselves. Okay, so there we go. 1 hour, 1 minute in, the forest terminated into a plain covered in Uli with parched trees lining the environment. An expansive city with a large structure is seen ahead. 1 minute 10 in. Kevlar 31 flew over the outer city of the wall. No life forms are seen beside Uli that are growing between crevices in the street. The large structure observed earlier is at the center of the city. It towers hundreds of meters into the air, taller than the trees previously observed. Researchers made several attempts to find a small structure in the city, but were unsuccessful. The glare made it impossible for the camera to observe through the windows. 1 hour 27 in. Small machines could be seen moving through the streets surrounding the central structure. Said machines did not acknowledge Kevlar 31's presence. 1:28. Kevlar 31 reached the edge of the central structure. A large entrance is present but is closed off. Team begins flying Kevlar 31 along the perimeter of the building. Only 20 seconds later, Kevlar 31 shook violently. The camera turned to see a mechanical limb wrapped around the top of the drone. This limb is sticking out from the structure's wall. With the assistance of 13 additional appendages within the next 11 seconds, Kevlar 31... Kevlar 13? No, it's Kevlar 31. Kevlar 31's parts were carefully undone before being brought into the wall. The camera is dislodged and falls to the ground. The camera lands in a pile and is facing towards the large central structure. The camera continued to operate for 2 hours before running out of power. The sounds of objects being dragged could be heard throughout. Why does the Black Moon Halloween with timestamps? This is a long one. There's a lot of reading to do here. I might come back to this one in my free time. But no, I don't know about getting through that whole one in this one. Let me just... I'm gonna pop a little favorite on that one, so I can find it again. Can we get a bit of a shorter one to finish off? Oh, maybe not this one. Yeah, not definitely not on stream. If that's getting graphic, at least that one at least it has a warning. That's nice. I appreciate that. Here we go. Here we go. This can be a nice one. It's safe. Item number SCP-1356. Object class safe. Special containment procedures. SCP-1356 is to be kept in a small box in the storage facilities of Research Sector 09 unless approved for removal and transportation. Description. SCP-1356 is a small bath toy resembling one of several generic rubber duck designs. Tests indicate that the object is made of plasticized polyvinyl chloride. It is designed to emit a sharp squeak when squeezed. When held by a human subject, the object appears to displace liquid water. If a subject holding the toy attempts to enter a lake or pool, for example, they will find that all liquid within an area extending approximately 152.4 by 81.3 by 45.7 centimeters from the body disappears. Tests performed in a small indoor pool revealed that the approximate volume of water before and after exposure to SCP-1356 remained consistent. However, even in the presence of a subject holding the anomalous ducts, water levels were never observed to rise. This suggests that the object displaces liquid to an unknown location from which it eventually returns. No unusual or foreign substances have yet been detected in displaced water, although pH levels indicate a slight increase in acidity. As the depth of displaced water never exceeds an average of 46 centimeters, a subject walking into a deep pool will eventually find their feet and legs submerged, while the rest of the body remains dry. Even vigorous motions and leaps, however, never suffice to bring the upper body into contact with the water. The rectangular dry space seamlessly shifts to accommodate even the most abrupt movements. Testing to discover the parameters of this phenomenon, as well as potential practical uses, are ongoing. See enclosed documents for updates and results. Addendum 1. Prolonged exposure to SCP-1356, hereafter defined as a sustained interval approaching or exceeding 2 hours in any depth of water, appears to affect the subject's skin, which takes on the prune-like texture associated with autonomic nerve responses to prolonged contact with water. After 2.5 hours of exposure, subject was also found to be significantly dehydrated despite receiving fluids before exposure to SCP-1356 and sweating minimally. Note, what's Addendum 2? Oh, I can't. Oh wait, these are they expand, not. Handles effect. Objective, define parameters of dry space. Procedure, subjects of various heights instructed to enter water with SCP-1356 at depths never exceeding the subject's shoulder height. Subjects encouraged to make every effort to bring hands or face in contact with the water surrounding the dry space created by the object. So long as the subject is in standing depth of water, the dry space will shift in accordance with the subject's motions, appearing to create a mobile rectangular indent in the water. This phenomenon, for unknown reasons, does not apply to the lower extremities in depths exceeding 46 centimeters. When the test subject bends, water recedes rather than come into contact with hands or body. Dry space appears to maintain its shape and volume as a rule. If subject at sufficient depth bends to the point of resting on hands and knees, the dry space will be covered over with water. Subjects report no change in air pressure, however, breathability of air is limited. The greatest depth at which this total submersion of subject in dry space could be achieved was approximately 1.5 meters, dependent on height of subject. Okay. Insufficient life raft. Determine whether dry space displacement can be used to keep subject afloat in deep water. Procedure: 4 subjects of sufficient strength and flexibility instructed to carry SCP-1356 into water of a depth of 2.5 meters and attempt to draw legs up into dry space. All subjects report the same results, with variable degrees of difficulty and time elapsed before exhaustion. The following rules have now been consistently demonstrated. Once subject is out of standing depth, the dry area SCP-1356 creates around subject maintains its shape, volume, and orientation at the surface of the water. Out of standing depth, subject's orientation inside of dry area becomes fixed, floating at waist depth. Subject will now be able to submerge hands and forearms in water below waist level, but any attempt to raise this water in handfuls is impossible. Attempts to reorient upper or lower body inside dry space are exhausting, but proves fruitless. In addition, remaining in this suspended state for more than 10 minutes negatively impacts the circulation of blood to the lower body, eventually resulting in intense cramping and faintness. Right. Final test, the sinking test. Objective: test an object's anomalous properties when not carried in contact with human subject. SCP-1356 is placed in a small pool. Object does not displace any amount of water or affect pH levels in any significant way. Object floats. Procedure 2. SCP-1356 placed in a small pool and bombarded with jets of water and various items. Results: despite the object's pliant PVC materials being easily damaged outside of water, when placed in any volume of water sufficient to keep it afloat, object appears to resist all attempts to sink or damage it, bobbing but always remaining upright and afloat. Well, with this object's origins in mind, these results might be prompting to examine the events and outcomes of Incident F-1992 more closely. Always struck me as our business, Dr. Druva. What's... Of course, it seems you haven't been testing the item's intended purpose. I'd imagine my nephew would say it works rather well. What's Instant F1992? I guess I don't find out. So, but I think that'll be all for today. This was just me, like, having little experiments. Oh, no, not even experiments. This is the one. Where's the really interesting? The one I thought was quite interesting. Oh, to be this one, yeah, 6651, and what was it? The one before that, I believe. Yeah, 6791. They are. It's ones like this that are kind of like why I'm interested in the SCP Foundation, because they're just interesting. No. So, yeah, this was just me like engaging my current hyperfixation. I'll be back this evening with more usual content, my Persona 5 Royal playthrough. And tomorrow I'll be out with more Persona Ultimax. And following that, on Friday will be another return to Persona 5 Royal, and Saturday we'll be starting my playthrough of Metroid Zero Mission, which I'm very looking forward to. But until then, if you feel like it, give me a follow on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. But regardless of what you do, I hope you have a good day, have a good evening, and until the next stream, goodbye.